Dun 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 dun
Mr.
dun.
Powers, you'll notice that all of the sharks have laser beams attached to their heads. I figure every creature deserves a warm meal.
Dr. Evil, it's about the sharks. When you were frozen, they were put on the endangered species list. We tried to get some, but it would have taken months to clear up the red tape.
You know, I have one simple request, and that is to have sharks with frickin' laser beams attached to their heads. Now, evidently, my cycloptic colleague informs me that that can't be done. Can you remind me what I pay you people for? Honestly, throw me a bone here. What do we have?
Sea bass.
Right.
As a matter of fact, genetically altered sea bass isn't too far off from what scientists have actually made in the real world. While genetically engineering sharks to have lasers on the back of their heads is purely in the realm of science fiction, modifying the genetics of some fish species has already occurred in the labs of biotechnicians. These genetically modified organisms, also known as GMOs, are organisms in which their genetic material has been altered in a way that doesn't occur naturally. This allows specific genes from one organism to be transferred into another, giving that organism the desired gene.
In order to create a genetically modified organism, scientists must isolate the genes for a desired trait from a different organism. This gene is then cut out of that said organism's DNA with the restriction enzyme. A vector is then cut with the same restriction enzyme so that they both have the same sticky ends. The vector and the desired gene are then combined and sealed with DNA ligase, forming recombinant DNA. Transformation then occurs, meaning the recombinant DNA is inserted into a bacteria or a zygote of an organism. The cells of the bacteria or zygote are then multiply and divide, allowing the acquired genes to be expressed throughout the organism.
So far, genetically modified organisms have been used in many different ways, including agriculture, farming animals, and medicine. Let's start by looking at agricultural plants, because they are one of the most frequently cited examples of genetically modified organisms. So far, some of the genetically modified genes that scientists have inserted into crops include herbicide tolerance, insect resistance, and virus resistance. With the use of genetic engineering, these changes have many benefits that affect agriculture and the world, including increased top crop yields, reduced costs for food, and a reduced need for pesticides. Advances have also been made in developing crops that mature faster and tolerate environmental stressors, allowing plants to grow in conditions where they might not otherwise flourish.
Use of GMOs has also been present in farming animals. A number of animals have been genetically engineered to increase food yield and decrease susceptibility to disease. For example, salmon have been engineered to grow larger and mature faster, and cattle have been enhanced to exhibit resistance to mad cow disease.
GMOs have also been used to help with human diseases. By genetically modifying organisms, scientists have improved our knowledge of medicine. By altering different plants, scientists have found all different types of antibodies, which would help our immune system. Biotechnicians have also altered many animals so that they carry human genes, or certain mutations, allowing us to learn about different diseases and create new and cheaper vaccines.
Those are just a couple of the ways genetic engineering has been used to help mankind. They allow us to produce greater amounts of food and optimize agricultural performances. With the growing population and diminishing resources, the ever-rising problem of starvation could be put to rest. The pest resistance, herbicide tolerance, and disease resistance of GMOs all protect the crops while also helping the environment and us due to less toxins being sprayed on our food. Cold tolerance and drought tolerance allow plants to continue to grow when unmodified plants would die. Many places around the world don't get all the needed nutrients from their main staple, and we have the possibility to alter genes to make these foods healthier and supply the people with what they need.
Not only do GMOs fight against malnutrition and many other problems that come with the lack of food and nutrients, but they give us the opportunity to improve our understanding of health and perhaps come up with cures for all different sorts of diseases. Scientists have even figured out ways to introduce vitamin A into rice, which could prevent blindness in millions of poor children throughout the world. Genetically modified organisms also provide the possibility to insert vaccines into certain foods and even clean up the environment by altering certain trees, such as poplar trees, to clean up heavy metal pollution from contaminated soil. As you can see, GMOs provide mankind with an endless amount of possibilities, which could help save millions of lives.
When it comes to the United States, their ethical views seem to be very conservative. However, compared to many countries around the world, the United States is relatively open about the uses of GMOs. European countries have extremely high consumer environmental regulations, including those governing GMOs, which are more restrictive than in the United States. However, the US is nowhere near the views of China. China has invested heavily in the technology and has many genetically modified animals and plants throughout the country. The US government has approved the use of GMOs and are continuing to expand on this new technology. With this expansion has come increased research, and scientists have found new possibilities which have given rise to many new ideas about GMOs. One of the main things holding the United States back from this technology is the people's concerns and issues with these new genetically modified organisms, such as the safety and ethical problems that can come with genetically modifying these organisms.
Some people believe that GMOs are unsafe for human consumption, pose a threat to the environment, are an unethical means of sustenance, and cost too much to even consider working with. However, this is plainly untrue. In regards to GMOs being unsafe for people to eat, it should be known that there are very few differences between genetically modified and conventional animals and plants. Let's take salmon, for example. When FDA scientists looked at both the modified and original salmon, they found almost nothing to differentiate them. Scientists have found no evidence that GMOs introduce any unique allergens or toxins into the food supply. All genetically modified crops are tested against a database of all known allergens before being sold, and any crop found containing new allergens is not approved or marketed, so there is absolutely no need to worry about whether or not marketed GMOs are safe to eat. They are.
Another public concern about GMOs is that they pose a threat to the environment. However, GMOs will have little effect on the environment because scientists wouldn't change the whole organism, just a desired gene. As a matter of fact, there have been over 1,700 studies in which scientists have found little to no evidence that genetically modified crops have any negative effect on the environment around them. In fact, GMOs might even help the environment due to the decreases in toxins produced by the sprayed pesticides, and new genes may even act to clean up our atmosphere. So, as you can obviously see, you don't have to worry about the environment being harmed by GMOs.
One of the most controversial problems with genetically modified organisms is if they are ethically right or not. A lot of people believe that creating GMOs is like playing God, and so scientists therefore have no right to do it. This is just silly. Us humans play God all the time, manipulating nature in order to better our lives and society. For the longest time, farmers would selectively breed animals for the best offspring. They dictated which organisms mated with which organisms, which animals were killed off, and which ones survived to reproduce. This is common knowledge, and yet nearly nobody has a problem with it being against God's will. So if farmers can play God to produce better food for the rest of society, why can't scientists?
One last problem people have with GMOs is that they cost too much to work with. While it is true that developing a new GMO can cost up to $100 million, the vast variety of benefits that GMOs have to offer to the world are definitely worth the price. Also, over time, the price of creating new GMOs will surely drop down as further understanding of the subject is developed. So is price an issue for creating GMOs? Yes. But can you really put a price on a cure for hundreds, if not thousands, of diseases? I don't think so.
Like we stated earlier, the possibilities of GMOs are endless. Some of the developing products of genetically modified organisms include vitamin enrichment, vaccines, and oral vaccines. As more information about GMOs come out, more research and more possibilities are found. A number of microorganisms are being considered as future clean fuel producers and biodegraders, and with the help of genetically modified organisms, this can be achieved.
In addition, genetically modified plants may someday be used to produce recombinant vaccines. In fact, the concept of an oral vaccine expressed in plants, such as fruits and vegetables, for direct consumption by individuals is being examined as a possible solution to the spread of disease in underdeveloped countries, one that would greatly reduce the costs associated with conducting large-scale vaccination campaigns. Genetically modified animals have even been used to grow transplant tissues for human transplants, and the possibility of expansion could be influential in the way that we heal our bodies.
With all these amazing benefits of GMOs, who knows, maybe someday science fiction can become reality.
Are those sharks with laser beams attached to their heads?